All right, y'all, man. It's your boy Trey with Let's Just Talk Motivation, man. We got a story here by a lady I met on Snapchat, man. Again, she doing her thing. I ran into her. Really cool vibes. Again, a Filipina. Somehow I keep running into y'all. And I ran into her. Her name is Mia, and she's gonna be telling us a little bit about her story, man, like where she's come from and how those things have led her to where she's at today. So, Mia, how you doing? What's going on?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good.
Let's go. Let's go. Thank you for taking the time out too. And I just want to ask this question too. What made you be so quick to just want to do this? So many people get so scared and shy. Why aren't you shy?
You know what's crazy? I wanna write a book.
Let's go.
Like everything I've been through,
Mm,
it's crazy, you know?
mm,
And for me to be where I'm at, I just wanna like write the book so that people
mm,
can know themselves that no matter what they went through, they
mm.
can do great.
Come on. Come on, man. A freaking book. Let's go. Have you already started writing pages or are you kind of getting ready to?
No, I don't personally want to be the one to write the book. I want someone to write the story for
Mm.
me. Like I'll tell the story to them and then I'm a horrible writer. Like I don't even know where to start. So yeah, it's just trying to find someone that could probably write the book for me and then go from there. But I definitely want to get my life
Mm.
story out because it's crazy.
Let's go. And that's where that's what leads us off to now. Like we were on Snapchat. Again, I learned a little bit about you. As soon as she mentioned that she was left on the stairs in the Philippines, I said, hold on, we got to come over here and record this. So take us back. What happened? What the heck? Come on, tell us about it.
So I was found on the stairs in an alley in the Philippines, like literally left for dead. Like I literally had bugs eating me alive. You could see my ribs, like you could count each rib that I had on my body.
Mm,
So when they found me, they got me back to health. They basically said the person who found me, if they hadn't found me like within the next 10 minutes, I probably would have been dead.
mm,
So from there, I don't know if like you're very familiar with like the Philippine area and like
hmm.
orphanages.
Yeah.
But I was in an orphanage and I was chained to a pole in the orphanage. Like we'd eat, sleep, that's where we used our bathroom.
Are you serious, man?
And yes, dead serious. We had like wild cats come in, all the stuff, all the time. Like, and we would eat half cooked rice and half cooked fish, like for every meal. I was 4 years old. I was the oldest kid in there. So before I aged out, which is at the age of 5, I
Mhm.
was 4 years old and I was like changing everybody's diapers in there and I was cleaning in there. So it was very crazy.
At what
So
age?
at the age of 4,
Age of 4. Wow.
right. So a thing about like the Philippines, so when you turn 5 in
Mhm.
some orphanages, you're aged out. So they basically either put you on the street or they sell you.
Are you serious, Mia?
Yes.
I've never heard about this. Why isn't this stuff known?
People don't, people are just so into all the celebrity status and
True, true.
all the propaganda that's going around. They don't know about what's going on in
Mm,
other countries until like it's last minute, almost like
mm,
COVID,
mm-hmm, hmm.
US didn't even know about it until last minute.
Yeah.
So from there, I was blessed with having a family that wanted to adopt me. So I got adopted right before I turned 5. So in December,
Wow.
adopted, and my birthday is January. So I came to the US. I was raised in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Now, Eau
Okay.
Claire, Wisconsin used to be a very small city, um, mainly had white people that lived there.
Hmm.
Um, my adopted father molested me up until I was 8. And then I became a woman. I went through puberty and
Hmm.
I was too old for him. So, what did he do? He passed me off to people in the church, he passed me off to his friends. And, I grew up getting touched on constantly.
Mm, hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
my mom, she was a great person, but herself, she was getting abused in the relationship. My dad was just a horrible person. Like I remember
Mm.
every morning having to wake up and before school, he'd have me sit on his lap with no clothes, like his clothes weren't on or anything like that, while he'd read the Bible to me.
Are you serious?
Yes, it was like I said, it's crazy. What that saying is, you never know what happens
You never
behind
know.
closed doors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what happened. I grew up with a brother who was their blood child, but he was 6 years older than me. So
Mm.
he didn't know what was going on. And, we ended up talking about that in our adult lives.
Wow.
But so I went through a lot. I went to different schools. I just
Mhm.
couldn't, you know, keep attention in school. And then also I was acting out, trying to get attention from
All
people,
right,
like
exactly.
trying to get help. I one day I found a condom in my bed and I called the cops, and the cops literally told me, they were so plugged in with my dad. They
What?
were, yes, they were like, if I lied, I'd go to hell. And if I lied again, they would lock me up, even though the evidence was in the bed.
So you found a condom in your bed. You saying what your dad left it in there?
Yes.
And the cops, so you call the cops, they
Yeah.
come and they tell you if you lying, you're going to hell.
Yes. And that they would lock me up if I lied again.
What, bruh? Oh my, you are pissing me off. I mean, again, I know you're gonna make it out of this because you're here today, but who? So what was going
Yeah.
on in your head during this time? Like, you know,
Man, to be honest with you, I'm so young. I'm like,
yeah,
is this life? Like, is no one ever gonna believe me? Now, granted, I wasn't like the perfect child and I did
yeah.
lie a lot, but I lied a lot to get attention, to
Mm-hmm.
have someone at least notice me so I
Mm-hmm.
could tell what was going on. But the people that I told, they brushed it under the rug. Like my family, like they didn't believe me anytime I tried to speak out. I was the black sheep. All my cousins
Mm.
and everybody, they were years older than me. I was just, and then like it was a family of white people, and
Mm.
at the end of the day, I did find out they were racist. Like, um,
Mm.
after my mom had passed away, my dad had said some shit to me. He was like, the only reason I had adopted you was because I didn't want a black child, and you were the closest thing to black.
Wow. Wow.
So it was crazy, and my dad, he was big. He had his own business. He was a therapist, all that. So, he
Mm.
couldn't diagnose me with anything, but he passed me along to his therapist friends. And, at the age of 12, I was taking 10 different medications for shit that I didn't
Wow.
even have.
Wow.
And I was just like a zombie my whole kid life. My parents sent me around, and basically, they sent me around to keep my mouth shut. I went to an all girls academy in
Mm.
Utah for 18 months. Like, and this is where like rich people send their kids that are
Mm.
bad. Like, it costed like 25,000 a month just
So
to go there.
you with a family that's well off. Like
Oh yeah, my parents were doctors. Like, well, my
wow.
mom was a
Okay.
dietitian. My dad was a psychiatrist. My uncle and aunt, she did her own home health like vitamin stuff, and he was a chiropractor. So my family was very very well off. Like, my house used to be called like the mini mansion. We had three
Mm.
stories. We had the pillars in the front. It was
Mm. Talk
it was
about it, man.
it was
Yeah.
big. Like, I lived a great life, but at the
But
same
just
time,
didn't.
but,
Mm-hmm.
but did I traveled to London, I traveled to Ireland, I traveled to the Bahamas. So I got to travel a lot.
Yeah.
But it never was enough for me because of all the bad shit that was happening.
Mm-hmm.
It was just super wild. And after I went to the all girls academy, I came home, and then they sent me right to a boot camp. And after the boot camp, I didn't even come home. I went straight to um, a group home.
Wow.
So my whole life, I was just moved around. I didn't even get like that family bond with
Yeah.
anybody. And again, like I said, my brother was 6 years older than me. So him and I didn't have a relationship until we became adults.
Wow.
And they kept a lot of stuff hidden from
From
him
him.
about me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents weren't that great with him either. He had
Mm.
bipolar issues and they kept sending him to mental hospitals.
Mm. Are you
So,
serious?
yes. And back then, medication wasn't as controlled as it is now.
Mm.
So they were giving, at 12 years old, I was almost on the highest dosage of every medication. So when I tell you I was a zombie, I was literally a zombie. I didn't even know who I was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and I got molested throughout my whole childhood. I got touched on by my brother's soccer team members,
Mm.
hockey
What?
team members while riding in the car. I'd fall asleep and I'd wake up to somebody touching on my breast. It was
What?
it was shitty. It was
Let,
a very shitty childhood.
let me ask you this, and not to cut you off, but I just want to know, like, do you feel like these type of things happen very so often to most orphanages or orphans?
Adopted kids, yes, I do believe that.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
I can't say, every family is like that, but I don't put it past them.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, it just it's it's the quiet ones, it's the ones that are acting out as a kid that you should know off the bat something's not right at home.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, things were a little different. People didn't say they were getting raped. Like rape was
Yeah.
like taboo kind of thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it was it was very hard growing up and very hard being able to know who to trust because obviously I had trust issues, but off the bat, I had abandonment issues. I was left.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So automatically with the abandonment issues, I got attachment issues.
Yeah.
So, and that's where it affected my adult life because not only was I chasing for that father love, I had
Mm-hmm.
major daddy issues and attachment issues to the people that weren't right for me. And like I spent 11 years after I turned 18 in
Mm-hmm.
nothing but abusive relationships. And I
Wow.
allowed it to happen because that's
That's
what I
what you're
went
used
through
to.
as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, the whole time I'm like, this is what life is.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
either I gotta be that right female for a man, I not knowing, there aren't men like this. There not every man is a
Exactly.
man.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So so when I turned 18, so right before I turned 18,
Mm-hmm.
3 days before I turned 18, my mom committed suicide.
I'm so
Um,
sorry, Mia.
yeah, it's
Mm.
hard. But the
Mm-hmm.
crazy thing is, I didn't even know she committed suicide until I turned 20.
Wait.
They had my family lied to me the whole time. They told me she
Oh
had
man.
passed away in her sleep, all this.
Wow.
And this is where it gets crazy. The way I found out that my mom had committed suicide. So my daughter is a product of a rape. She's a rape baby.
Wow.
Um, her dad had beat the crap out of me one day and was like, "This is why your mama killed herself. She didn't want a slut daughter like you." And I'm like,
Mm.
"Why would you say something like that?" Because
Mm-hmm.
what I told you is that she, you know, passed away in her sleep. And come to find out that he talked to my father. I'm like, how the fuck did you talk to my father? And my father doesn't
Right.
even talk to you. So who do I call up? I call up my brother. I was like, hey, is there something that you need to tell me? And he knew automatically what it was. He's like, yes, we've lied to you. Mom committed suicide.
Wow.
And it just destroyed me. I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
life can't get crazier,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and when my daughter was created, my baby daddy had me locked up in a room for 3 months, chained to a bed, raping me every day. What it like brought food in there, almost like a relive of the orphanage life.
Wow.
It was crazy. And then
Chained to a bed?
yes, he he released me one day and he beat the living crap out of me to the point where I kept blacking out. And I remember this one time where I had blacked out, I came to and I'm like so like dizzy, but I'm
Mm,
paying attention to what he's doing. He went into a room, grabbed a chair, sat down next to me. And as he sat down, he was tying up his shoes. When he got done tying up his shoes, he kicked me so hard in my face and
mm.
my ear that I am deaf in my left ear because of it. I had to crawl hands and knees to my neighbor's house, bloody as hell, just for them to call the police. It
So
was,
so he got justice. He got
he
time for
got a
that.
year.
He got a year for that.
Yep. And they granted me, I think the max was 7 years. And after the 7 years, they wouldn't grant me any more time. They tried to say he was a changed man. But look at him now. He doesn't even spend time with his daughter. How is he a changed man? He just got out of jail for beating up his 68-year-old girlfriend and committing identity fraud. Like, I'm not
Man.
even trying to be funny,
Yeah, no,
but
I got you. I got just don't mention no names because I don't want nobody to see this, you know.
no, 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 no.
Yeah.
No names aren't going to get mentioned. But
Yeah. But yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It
My
was,
goodness. Yeah, man, man. This yo, I'm gonna let you keep going. I'm gonna let you keep going. But okay, so this is all happening around the time you said you were 18.
yes.
Okay. So 18.
Because,
Okay.
during the kid life, I was just moving around all the time, going through all the bullshit.
Yeah.
And then
Mm.
when I turned 18, I ended up moving to Milwaukee.
Mm.
And the guy, so I was in a relationship with a guy from 16 to 19. And so
Okay.
when my mom had passed away, obviously my dad wasn't going to take me in, nor was I going to allow myself to live with my father.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I ended up moving down here, down to Milwaukee with the guy that I was dating at the time, living
Not to
with
cut
his family.
not to cut you off too, but if you don't mind me asking about your mom, and again, my condolences. Did you ever find out perhaps maybe why did she deal with maybe anxiety, depression, or
My dad was abusive. And my
okay.
dad had
Mm.
cheated on her through their marriage for the last 5 years of their
Wow.
marriage. Yep. It was
Mm,
bad. And
mm,
then like ended up marrying the bitch he was cheating on her with.
mm,
So it was very bad. And my mom was very, very sick. She she was a diabetic and
mm,
she was type 1. So she
mm.
was very, very sick. She ended up needing surgery. And crazy thing is the only person that could take care of her was her
Shit.
ex-husband and his new wife.
Wow. Which was
Yeah.
your dad? You told your dad.
Yep.
Wow.
Now, this is the crazy part. When my mom left, like when she passed away, she left me with a $250,000.
Mm,
So actually, no, a little bit more. So I was left with $450,000.
yeah.
And I blew it. I blew it on my
Mm,
first baby daddy and his family.
mm,
I bought them cars. I paid their
wow.
mortgage. I paid their car notes. We were just living it up. I spent $450,000 in 18 months.
Wow.
Like when
When they say
everybody
you can
always
blow
talks
money,
about
yeah. Mm-hmm.
you really can. Like, have you ever noticed that a lot of people that win the lottery don't become big named? For what reason?
That's
Because
so
they blew
true.
it.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely blow that money. It is so easy to go through money because at $20 here and there, it adds up.
It adds up. Yeah.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
So, um, I blew all this money, and actually that was towards the end of my money. I had ended up trying to be smart in buying a house. Um, and after my baby daddy put me through what he put me through, I
Mm-hmm.
tried to sell my house, and his grandma actually did like she bought houses and sold them and rented them out.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing was, So I was supposed to sell my house for $15,000.
Mm-hmm.
She gave me 500 up front and told me she'd make payments, right? I
Mm.
signed the deed over to her and everything, and then she went and told everybody that she gave me money. So I got ridiculously played. So here I am. I'm pregnant. I'm homeless. I don't know Milwaukee for shit because,
Mm.
I just been in abusive relationships.
Yeah.
I end up meeting my second baby daddy on a bus stop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm so young and dumb,
Nah, yeah, talk about it.
the
Mm-hmm.
the pickup get line was so cold. I can't even
Mm.
tell you what it was,
Yeah.
but it was it was obviously cold enough for me to, mess with him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I granted, in the beginning he was great. He helped me
Mm.
take care of me when I was pregnant. Was there for me when I gave birth. And then we ended up having a child of our own as well.
Okay.
Um,
So now you have two kids right now.
yes, now I have
Okay.
two kids.
Okay.
Um, we ended up breaking up probably
Mm-hmm.
about 3 months into our actual child we had.
Mm.
It was
Mm-hmm.
just really bad. It wasn't abusive, but he cheated.
Mm.
He
Okay.
cheated a lot. Like
Mm-hmm.
now, like fast forward a real quick, he has 14 kids, 10 baby mamas.
Ooh,
Our
man.
kid is the first.
Wow.
So it's like after, he got me pregnant, he just couldn't
Just
get,
went crazy.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually has three other kids that are the same age as our daughter.
Wow.
That's how crazy it is. He has a kid by his cousin. He had a kid by my
Oh
best
man.
friend.
Yo.
Yeah. Like
Yo.
he was so bad. Him and my best friend, they had sex in the other room while I was asleep on the couch pregnant with his child. That's how bad it was.
Mm.
Um, so after that relationship, I
Mm-hmm.
got, I was like, what do I do? I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
I actually looked on Craigslist. I'm looking for a job because at the time I was working at Applebee's. So
Okay.
I saw this ad, it's like, hey, do you want to make some money? Woo, woo, woo. I'm like, hell yeah, I want to make some money.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy, he's talking to me. Long story short, basically, I find out he's a pimp.
Oh man, yeah. Craigslist. Hey, Craigslist be having some activities, Mia.
Yeah, they do,
Mm-hmm.
especially back then. They definitely, because that's when Backpage was a thing.
Backpage,
You
yeah.
could,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you could sell the sex on Craigslist as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I followed him. He made it seem like I wasn't gonna, have to do what I had to do.
Yeah.
Um, so, granted, the great thing is I got to travel to different states. I was making money. And at first, I was doing the inappropriate things for money. But then, I
Mm-hmm.
learned more on the criminal activity side
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
how to get money without doing that.
Yeah.
So, I spent about a year and a half doing that. And then
Mm-hmm.
things got really weird. He wanted to marry me. And I was like, no, I don't want that. And then he wasn't allowing me because my kids were still in Milwaukee while I was traveling. I was sending grandma money,
Mm-hmm.
for the kids. And I wasn't in the year and a half that I was gone, I only got to see my kids twice. And I was
Wow.
like, I can't do this. I'm like, I love being a mom, being
Yeah.
away from my kids. It's horrible.
Yeah.
So I had to come back and then I started doing my own thing. And that's, you know, where I started learning that I'm a very intelligent person
Mm-hmm.
and that I had a really great conversation piece on me. Like I could lie. Well, I like to call it finessing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm. It's
But
Vanessa.
I could, I give a good enough story and
Yeah.
someone was willing to give me money. And I was like, damn, this is easy. So
Mm-hmm.
let me get it. So, but then I started building a conscience
Mm-hmm.
until I
Mm-hmm.
found out these were married men.
Yeah.
And I was just like, y'all bogus. I was like, you know what? Let me be your karma. I'm going to be your karma. I am going to
Mm,
run you dry until your wife finds out.
mm,
And that's what I was doing. I was going around having dates with people. Like I was getting invited to events to,
mm,
be the plus one. I was going to
mm-hmm.
horse racing games. Like I was living the life. Like I'd have men buy me cars, put me in houses.
Wow.
It was freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know what it was, but a switch in my head. So I was doing that from the year 2013 to 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, I was living my best life. Like there wasn't a day that would go by that I wasn't making at least 5,000 a day.
Wow.
And that wasn't
Mm.
including those type like sexual activities.
Yeah.
It was literally going on dates, and I was like, "Oh my God, this shit is easy. This is
Mm-hmm.
something I could do to provide a great life for my kids." But then something in me told me like, "Girl, I don't have the patience for this. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have the
Mm-hmm.
patience to keep up with the same lie, to
Mm-hmm.
keep up with the same face. I had to lie about my name,
Yeah.
about my kids, where I
Mm-hmm.
lived. Like it was hard. And to be honest with you, I got a horrible freaking memory. So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Me too. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
just like, I can't do this. So
Mm-hmm.
I took a break, and they call it the game, where uh what I was doing, it's part of the game. So when leaving the game, that's what they call a person living a square life, like average people living like
Mm-hmm.
a doing a 9 to 5, they call them squares.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up living a square life, and boom, I run into baby daddy number 3.
Okay.
6'4", 480 pounds. Big ass dude compared
Golly. Yeah.
to me. And I'm 4'4". Like
Yeah.
it looked terrible, but there were times that it was fun. We used to go to
Mm-hmm.
Walmart and we go
Mm-hmm.
to security, and he'd be like, "Hey, I think she's lost her parents," and I would play along with
Yo, I can't.
him.
I can't.
So I mean, like I said, every relationship didn't have all its bad moments,
Yeah.
but so we ended up. So we met in 2015. I got pregnant right away. Like I said, I can't. I'm fertile. Every
Mm-hmm.
single one of my pregnancies was off of birth control. So I
Mm-hmm.
ended up pregnant, having a baby, and I actually along the way I got addicted to Percocets.
Okay.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
the the father of my child was a drug dealer, and
Mm-hmm.
he actually had an addiction that I was unaware of. But
Mm-hmm.
it came out when I started doing it because he was feeding me the drugs. He was like, "Hey, try this and it'll be fun." So I was like, "Fuck it, let me try it."
Mm-hmm.
So, and then here comes out his drug addiction as well.
Mm.
So, um, give me 1 second. My
Yeah.
cat. Oh,
Good.
thank you. Um, So, and then as I don't know if you're familiar with opioids and addiction with it.
Yeah,
When
of
you go
course.
without, you get chills, you get sweats,
Mm-hmm.
you can't sleep right. So it got to a point, where it became a drought in the city that we were in.
Mm.
So I couldn't go through it. And mind you, I'm pregnant.
Wow.
And I know it's horrible, but
Yeah, you're
it's
addicted. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I couldn't. No one knows addiction unless you actually
Yeah.
have been by a person that's
Mm-hmm.
through addiction or
Mm-hmm.
been through addiction yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so fast forward a little bit, I end up giving birth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, 3 months later, after I give birth, I went to the bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
and um, I needed that mommy break. I was up with a newborn. I
Mm-hmm.
was like tired, going through all this stuff. And I hear my baby crying, and then I heard my baby not crying. So as soon as I didn't hear my baby crying,
Mm-hmm.
I came out, and my child was foaming and bleeding out of his nose. He had
Mm-hmm.
no pulse, no nothing. I had to wake his dad up. His dad had to give him CPR. It took the paramedics 45 minutes to bring him back. And by then, he was at a stage where he needed to be on a ventilator.
Yeah, brain dead. Mm-hmm.
Well, he wasn't brain dead yet.
Mm, okay.
Um,
Okay.
nope. he just lost so much. He had lost oxygen for too long.
Yeah.
He was just in that state where he couldn't move or talk or anything.
Yeah.
Um, so we kind of waited it out. We did eventually have to take him off of the ventilator, and he
Yeah.
had to pass because he did end up getting having brain. Um, he was brain dead, but that wasn't until a year after. So he actually
Oh
passed away
wow. Mm.
after he turned a year. But the
Wow.
cool part is we got to watch the Cubs win the World Series. And so that's
Mm.
a very significant moment for me.
That's beautiful. Okay, with your child.
Huh? Yes, with my
Oh,
child.
that's
So,
beautiful.
I had him in a
Hmm.
whole Cubs jersey, everything.
Yeah.
It was
Hmm.
awesome.
Hmm.
So he
Facts.
did pass away.
My
Um,
condolences. Hmm.
and the father was just so abusive afterwards, was way more
Mm.
abusive, let's
Mm.
say.